Hello, and welcome to my living room. I'm Kathleen Hershner. My guest today is a surprise guest. She did not intend to be interviewed by me today, but she's no stranger to Aprenda Inglés television because she's been on many, many times with different teachers and different interviewers here on the channel. So I'd like to welcome Annette Kleine to the program. And I kept saying to you before we started, don't be nervous, it's okay. And she goes, oh, but my level is not good enough. I think you'll find that we're going to have a normal, interesting, and hopefully enjoyable conversation.
I hope so.
Well, you've been on television before, so you know the routine.
Well, but it's not bad if I make mistakes.
No. I mean, if you wanted me to try and speak in Spanish, then you'd feel much better because the mistakes would be off the charts, as I like to say. But you look really good today, and you did not come here planning to be on TV.
I didn't.
And the first thing I asked you is, where are you from? And you said, I'm from Argentina. And I looked at you and I'm like, really? But like a lot of Argentinians, your background is not from Argentina. Where are you from?
From Germany.
Your parents were German?
From Prussia.
From Prussia. And did they immigrate to Buenos Aires?
Yes, after the war, 2 years after the war, they went to Argentina.
So you were born there?
I was born there.
Do you have brothers and sisters?
We have 4 of us.
Really? It's a big family.
A brother and 3 sisters.
Yeah.
3 girls.
Are you the oldest, or?
From the girls, yes. My brother is
He's the oldest,
He is
and
the
then you're
oldest.
the oldest of the girls. I asked this question of another friend of mine who I was telling you about is very similar to you. Born in Buenos Aires, but one parent was German, I think the other one was Swiss. And so I asked him, I said, what do you feel like, or what country do you feel like you're from? Because he's, of course, trilingual. And he says, well, I don't know, I can't answer that.
I feel from Argentina.
That's what I thought he would answer, because I think you feel like the country that you're from.
It was very hard for me to leave Argentina, to leave my family.
To come to Spain?
Yes.
Did you come directly to Spain?
The first half year I went to Germany.
So you went from Buenos Aires to
I
Germany.
married and I went to Germany. And after 6 months, my husband came to Spain.
Okay, so your husband is German as well.
He's German.
Did you meet him in Germany or in South America?
I met him in Argentina, in Buenos Aires.
Well, that was kind of a lucky moment, I suppose.
In a travel agency. I was working in a travel agency.
That's right. You told me that briefly, that you worked in a travel agency, and you said that it was great. You had such a positive.
It was a wonderful experience.
Did you get to go on a lot of trips around the world as a result of working in a
quite a few? Yeah. You say quite a few,
or many, whatever. That's stressful work, though, isn't it?
It's not.
No.
It's if you like your work, nothing is.
Nothing is too hard.
Nothing is too hard.
But travel agents in the old days used to spend a lot of time on the phone.
Oh yes,
I mean,
on the phone and giving service.
Yeah.
Nowadays, nobody gives you services. They treat you like.
Kidding.
They treat you like something.
Yeah, like an object.
Yes, I had my own. How do you say? My own
agency?
No, my own
clientele.
Clientele.
I like this game. If Annette can't think of the word, I'm like, it's like password.
My clientele. So that's why it was so hard for me to leave my country because of my family, my clientele, my work, my work. You say, or my job.
My work. A job would be specific to whatever it is you're doing, but your work, we use that more like my career, the work that I do.
Yes.
Well, that's probably because you had to give up not just your clientele and people you were close to, but also you stopped working to start a family, I would guess.
Lots of them or lots of them?
Either one.
Lots of them were friends of my parents. Oh. So sometimes they phoned me home and I had to, I returned home and they called me and I forgot to reserve a trip to Montevideo, so I had to phone. It was wonderful.
So even though you left your travel agency, you still were working because your friends kept calling you, asking you to help them.
I had the great luck to return every year to Buenos Aires.
Oh, really?
So the first 5 years when I returned to Buenos Aires, I went to the travel agency and helped my colleagues.
Mm-hmm. Well, see,
It was wonderful.
It sounds to me like you had a difficult time departing from your job. They didn't want to let you go.
They didn't want to let me go.
You and I were laughing before we came on the show here about, you said, I don't know what to talk about. I don't have anything to talk about. And I was like, well, yeah, everybody has something to talk about. I've never met anybody yet that hasn't had at least one or two things that I find interesting. And so we were talking before when we were sitting here about your daughters. You have 2 girls?
I have 2 girls.
You have 2 girls, and you said they play the piano.
Both.
And I play the piano as well. I love playing the piano.
Did your mother...
Yeah, you told me that your mom was...
But did she tell you to...
No, she didn't have to, but she did have to be...
To practice the piano every day?
No, she did not have to ever tell me to practice, ever. In fact, that was one of the big surprises, I think, of my mother. She thought, you know, she'd heard stories of her friends saying, I have to tell my kid, you have to practice every day. But my parents were both high school teachers, and I think they understood enough psychology to know that if they just didn't say anything, they could see that I enjoyed it, that I would enjoy it more and probably practice a bit more without feeling like it's an obligation. But no, she did not have to force me, although we did have problems when I was a teenager because I didn't want to go to my piano lessons. I didn't like the teacher. He was a man who was very strict, he was very austere, and he was very critical. And I didn't like that at all. So that was the only time where she had to, as you went, like, where she, chop, 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 where she had to say, look, I'm paying a lot of money, and it's for you.
Only with words, not...
Oh, no, well, no, she had been known to do that as well.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. I'm sure that I may have deserved it, but do your daughters enjoy playing, or do you feel that you have to...
Now they enjoy playing.
Yeah. How old are they?
They are 18 and 15.
Okay, so are they good? Do you think that they're good pianists?
Well, not so good. They're better
at
piano players, yes. But they know how to play. They can read notes.
They can read music, which is a very good thing to know.
They can read music, that's wonderful.
And they enjoy it, which I think is the most...
They enjoy it because they are trying to play different other things, not only the classical. So they enjoy it now. Well,
classical music's a good place to start because it helps train your mind and helps you learn how to sight read. You can learn technique a little bit better.
They like classic music too.
I do too.
That's a good sign.
Yeah. But then when you're a teenager, you want to play popular songs. Do they like to sing as well?
Yes, of course.
Because I remember going to the local music store and buying a lot of sheet music of current popular songs like Elton John at the time. I had a lot of Chicago, groups that were popular in the 70s. And when I was back in San Francisco a couple of years ago, I had the stack of music somewhere, and I looked through all of the songs, and I thought, oh my God, I can't believe we were singing these things, but because they're so old-fashioned. Tell me a little bit about your transition to living in Spain, having grown up in South America.
Well, the big difference was the language. Although we speak Spanish, but you know, the intonation is different, words are different. You have to be careful sometimes what you say because some words you can't say them in
So some
Spain.
words, I've heard this before, there are some words in different Spanish-speaking countries that could be offensive.
Yes.
In Spain or vice versa. But did you find in general that the people were a lot different, or?
Yes, they are different.
Okay.
They're very different. Spanish, Argentine people are very different too. Spanish people.
Yeah. I lived in Chile for a while.
Oh, they're nice.
I liked the Chileans. I liked them a lot. I didn't go to Argentina. I didn't have time when I was living there. I was too busy teaching. And I went to Peru. I think that's the only other country I went to. But I remember the Chileans as just being very sweet,
Yes.
and generous people.
They have a slight song.
They do. I like the way they speak, but they would never let me be alone, which kind of made me crazy. I like to travel alone. And to Chileans, that's very strange to see a woman traveling alone. Now, it was then, maybe now it's changed. And they always wanted to like have me come over to their house for dinner. I'm like, no, I enjoy being alone. It's okay. Like, no, you must be unhappy. This must be depressing. Poor you.
South American people invite you.
Yeah.
At home.
I think it's a bit different in Spain. I think Spaniards are a bit more, I don't know how to explain it because I'm not criticizing them. I want to make it clear. But you don't get invited to their homes immediately.
No.
Now, in the United States, I suppose it depends on the region, but in the region that I grew up in, come on over. We're having a barbecue in the backyard, and it doesn't matter if you've ever met the person before.
The same in my house.
In your house here?
In my house in Buenos Aires.
Oh, what about?
My parents always had guests at home. At the weekends, we made asados, and
which is like a barbecue, but not.
Barbecue.
But it's different.
It's different, completely different.
Yeah. So what about your...
The barbecue in a garden is different than a barbecue on a balcony. You say balcony?
Mm-hmm. On a balcony. And so an asado is a barbecue in a garden.
In a garden, yes.
I would say that's an American style barbecue because we have space.
Yes.
You know, everybody in Madrid is living in flats and they've got their little grills parked out on the patio. But what about your lifestyle here? Do you maintain that Argentine way of hospitality as much as you can?
As much as I can.
Yeah.
But it's not. You change. You change. People are different, so you change too.
Well, you kind of fit into the culture that you're living in.
Because when you want to give something and the other person doesn't react,
respond,
I quit.
You stop offering.
I stop offering.
Well, I have to say, Annette, I've never had a problem enticing people or persuading people to come to my house. The Spaniards have always been more than willing to come over, and I think it's because I have parties where I cook, and I like to make Mexican food. So I always try to say, look, I'm having a party, and there's going to be really good food there. And so the last one I had, I think 25 people showed up in my tiny flat, and I was like, well, we'll see how this goes. And some of them I'd never met before. And I suppose that for some people it might make them nervous to have people come into their home that they don't know. But I figured any friend of a friend of mine is welcome to come to my house. I don't have to like hide things. Well, not really. So what else do you do in Madrid besides be a mom? I know it's busy being a mom, especially when you got teenagers.
It's tough.
I know it is.
But I go to the radio.
That's right.
I'm on the radio show on Cloverdade's Corner.
You go in the morning?
In the morning, on Wednesdays.
Every Wednesday?
Every Wednesday.
For how long?
For 3 years.
Aren't you getting sick of Cloverdale?
No, never.
No? Well, he's a very good teacher.
He's the best.
He's a very good teacher, and I was telling Annette before we started that I was not going to correct her. She's like, I'm very worried that I won't be able to say things perfectly. I was like, well, look, I don't even say things perfectly in English. You've probably heard me on the radio.
Always.
Well, if you've even heard me a few times, you've heard me make mistakes.
Every other afternoon.
That's too much.
No.
You should be sick of me as well. But every once in a while, I will be talking, and radio is completely different than TV, of course. I mean, the way of thinking and the way of speaking, everything is different because no one's looking at you. But sometimes I make mistakes, and I'll be talking, and I'll say something, and I'll go, is that right? And I don't know the answer.
It happens in German.
Does it? German is complex.
Oh,
like
yes.
English, yeah. And you just sit there and you go, I really don't know. And then the really embarrassing thing is when your students correct you. Like when I was a teacher. This happened when I was teaching in Hawaii because I had students from China, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, which is China, but Taiwanese consider themselves Taiwanese. But all these Asian countries, and they're really good students. and you'd be up on the board with your back to the students, and you'd be writing, you know, a sentence, and the student would say, "Excuse me, I don't mean to be rude, but that you have a mistake
word.
there." And that was always really embarrassing. I was like, "Oh, you're right," and you'd get the eraser out quickly. Well, let's see. Do you participate in any sports or hobbies?
I go to the gym.
I do too. I like going. I consider that a hobby.
Yes, it's wonderful.
Yeah. Do you have a gym near your house?
Yes.
It's good to have the gym.
Hopefully, you say hopefully? No.
Thankfully.
Thankfully.
Thankfully. Hopefully would be like, I hope there's going to be
Yes.
a gym in my
Thankfully,
neighborhood.
I have it near my house.
I have a gym near my house that I go to. It's not my favorite gym. I would rather go to a fancier gym, but I've discovered that if the gym is close to the house, you will go.
Yes.
If I have to get into a metro and go to the gym,
sometimes
no
I
way.
go walking.
Yeah, walking around
Walking
in your neighborhood.
I go to the gym.
What part of Madrid do you live in?
Near Alcobendas.
So you're in the north,
Yes.
where there's more space.
In Alcobendas.
Where I consider people have more normal, from an American standard, more normal living arrangements, because you have a lot of people have homes. You have a yard. You're not living in a.
I'm not living in a house.
You're not living in a house. Well, so what do you do when you go to the gym? Women our age need to lift weights?
Yeah.
No, we
Everything.
have to, because it's good. Because for weight-bearing exercise means that we're not going to get osteoporosis.
First, I use the walking machine.
The treadmill.
The
Treadmill.
The treadmill.
Yeah.
And then I use the
weights.
The weights.
So you get your heart going first to warm up.
Yes.
And then you lift
then
weights.
I sometimes I go to Pilates
Really?
and to body, not bodybuilding.
Body pump?
No, body, I don't know, something with,
Okay. That's a word you'd find in a gym. Body.
yes.
Body
Everything
something.
is body.
I've never taken a Pilates class. I know about Pilates because I was into yoga for many years when I lived in California. But the one thing the few exercises that I have done, it focuses a lot on the torso.
Yes.
The strength of your torso.
Yes.
The part that I hate exercising the most. I hate sit-ups and
Well,
God.
sit-ups are not so easy.
I hate them. I don't know why.
If you're not flexible enough.
Well, I'm flexible enough. It has to do with strength and getting tired. I like lifting weights, though. I find it's relaxing. Do you find that it is relaxing?
Yes, it's relaxing.
I wonder why. Because they always say don't do cardio before you go to bed. Like don't go running or do treadmill.
First cardio and then the other one.
I went to my gym last night, and I think I got there at 9:30 at night.
Me too.
It's late to be going to the gym.
But it's wonderful. Nobody is there.
Well, my gym gets crowded, and I want to get in and get out. I don't want to wait for people. But I remember thinking, oh, I hope this isn't going to upset my sleep, because I need to get my sleep so that I can,
Yes.
look glamorous for TV. And I didn't leave the gym until 11:15, and so I couldn't go to sleep until about 1.
Oh.
I know. But
At what time do you get up?
7. Ask me what time I got up today.
What time did you get up today?
That little Vaughn method for you. 6 a.m. I just woke up.
I always get up at 5:30.
You're such a German. You're such a Fraulein. I love this.
But I have dinner at 10 o'clock in the evening.
Like a Spaniard.
It's too late.
Well, here's why I didn't insult you, by the way.
No.
But I fit you into a stereotype, stereotypical.
Of course, I have German.
Well, in the sense that as I'm talking to you, I'm realizing some things about you. Because, of course, while you're talking, I'm picking up information about who you are as a person. That you are a person who takes care of yourself. I already knew that before you told me you went to the gym. And that you are fairly well-disciplined. You seem like a person who has a lot of self-discipline. Yeah. And
it's easier for your life.
It is. It makes your life easier. And also that you enjoy I'm guessing, good nutrition. And
I'm vegetarian.
I am too. I had a feeling about that. And that you also are, you know, I think of German people as people who take care of themselves. Now, of course, they have their
Not
same.
so
I know they have
often.
obesity as a problem in their
Nowadays more
country.
than
before.
before.
That's diet related. That's absolutely diet related because
They take care of their health.
Well, I'm saying this, of course, having never been to Germany, except for the airport. I spent the night in Frankfurt once, and that was it. That was my taste of Germany. So I need to go back and visit Germany. Do you go there?
Frankfurt is. I lived there for 3 years.
Did you? Nobody likes Frankfurt. Whenever you say Frankfurt, they're like, ah.
No, it's not nice.
What about Munich?
Oh, that's a nice city.
And Berlin.
Berlin, it's wonderful.
Berlin was on the list, Annette, of the top.
But not everybody likes Berlin.
As we say in English, different strokes for different folks. It's a very American
If you know
statement.
the language, it's wonderful. And it's easy and you can...
I do not know the language. I think I could learn it though. I was practicing pronouncing it with my friend and he said, hey, you actually probably could learn to speak German. I'm like, no. If I've lived in Spain for 7 years and my Spanish is as bad as it is, I'm not taking on any more languages. Until I conquer the Spanish armada of language, I'm not learning anymore.
It's so difficult for you? It's difficult?
Well, there are two problems. One, I just haven't put the time into studying. I don't own a Spanish textbook.
So you learned it on the street?
Well, yeah, when I was working on the street, I picked it up. Actually, I understand it fairly well, but since I don't have to speak it, I don't speak it. I need to make someone speak it to me. The crew is pretty good for it here, because they speak in Spanish to me a lot more than other people I've been around, and that is helping me. But no, I've had a hard time with it. And the other thing is that I started to learn, you asked me about what was difficult. That was the first thing. The second thing is that I started late in life.
Yes.
I was well into my 30s by the time I started to take Spanish classes.
Oh.
And that's late to learn a language. It's not impossible, but you learn slowly.
Yes.
You learn much more slowly, I think, at my age. What about your kids? Do they speak German?
They speak German, yes.
Excellent.
Yes,
Good for you.
First I spoke Spanish with them because we were living in Germany. And when we changed to Spain, when we came to Spain, I told them from now on we speak German.
So you did kind of a reverse
yes,
thing.
Of course.
In Germany, they had to speak Spanish.
Yes.
In Spain, they have to speak German.
Yes.
I love that.
And in Germany, they told me, but we can't understand you. We need to know what you speak with your daughter. So I told them, I'm sorry. They have to speak Spanish. They have to know how to speak Spanish first.
Speak Spanish or German?
First Spanish.
First Spanish, then German.
And then German.
And then you can have like a secret communication with them in German in front of the Spanish teachers.
Always.
Oh, honey, you don't like this teacher very much, do you? She's really mean, and I don't like her either.
I had moments in Germany where I told them, when I spoke of somebody who makes us nervous, and so I told them, please, we leave. This person is not very...
Well, language comes in handy
Yes.
in that way as well. I can only say one thing in German, and it's the last thing I can say.
And people were, oh yes, oh wonderful.
Thinking you were saying something nice. She's a really awful woman, isn't she? Well, schlechtes Wetter heute nicht. That's all I can say. It's bad weather, isn't it?
Heute ist schlechtes Wetter.
Schlechtes Wetter. Annette Kleine, thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
You had more fun than you thought, didn't you?
I hope so.
See? No, I know so.
I know so.
Okay, thanks for coming. And thank you for tuning in to another conversation here in my living room. I'll be back with more for you very soon. Adios, auf Wiedersehen, bye-bye.